Welcome to Bald.io and thank you for agreeing for this interview for us today.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, Rebecca.
So could you introduce yourself and your company or product?
So my name is Piers Ridyard. I am the CEO of Radix. And Radix, the easiest way of thinking about it is it's like Ethereum or Bitcoin. It's a platform for creating decentralized applications, tokens and coins, but unlike those platforms, it addresses three key problems with the industry. The first is scalability, so making something scalable enough that everyone can use it simultaneously in the world. The second is buildability, so making it easy enough to build on top of, that you don't have to have really specialist knowledge to be able to build applications or tokens or coins on top of it. And the third is price volatility, so making the price of the underlying use of the underlying platform low volatile enough that a company can reason about what it's going to cost them to use it into the future, so that they can decide to base key parts of their infrastructure on top of the infrastructure rather than having to constantly speculate about what the price of using the infrastructure is.
And how does your company differ from blockchain?
It's a really good question. So blockchain was created to solve one of the problems that was like an old computer science problem, which is how do you stop the double spend problem without a central authority? And what this basically means is, if I have a token that represents value, and I send that to you, and then I send the same one back to myself, how does the network decide which of those two was the correct one, and let only one of them happen? Because if both of them happens, then I've just basically duplicated the token, and I've got extra money. And so blockchain and Bitcoin and proof of work was the first sort of real implementation that worked out a way of stopping this double spend problem without needing a central authority. So the way that we did it before is we had banks, and they owned the balance sheet, and they owned the ledger, and they owned everything on the ledger. And so if you said, "I'll spend this to me and to this person," they'd say, "Nope, I'm only going to spend one of these." But then how do you do that in a decentralized way with no single authority that says no and yes to that? And that's the problem that blockchain solved, this double spend problem. What we've done is we've solved that problem, but without using blockchain, because blockchain as a technology fundamentally doesn't scale, which means that only a certain number of people can be using the same chain at the same time, which means that the entire world could not rely on Bitcoin, cannot rely on Ethereum, because it just fundamentally can't scale. So if this is now going to be a key technology for the world, you then have to go, right, we want those ends, we want the double spend problem solved and a few other things, but we want it to work for everyone. So that's what the difference between what we've done and what has happened previously is.
And there might be a lot of misconceptions about what blockchain is. How would you explain it to somebody who has no idea about it?
Yeah, so my favorite analogy for this is the internet analogy. When the internet first came about, it was like the purview of geeks and like sort of die-hard computer fanboys, people who just loved the technology and got really excited about it. And then for everyone else, it was a little bit difficult to fully grasp. So what would happen is you'd have a conversation, something like this. You'd go, "Hey, there's this amazing new technology. It allows me to send information to anyone, anywhere in the world, instantly." And people will go, "Well, that's nice, but I have a fax machine. I can send information to anywhere in the world instantly. Why is the internet better than my fax machine?" And you go, "Oh, no, you don't understand. You can also talk to anyone in the world instantly." And they'll be like, I've got a phone. I can pick up the phone, I can dial a number, I can talk to anyone in the world instantly. Why is it better?" And blockchain is at that similar point, because if you look back and think about what your perspective would have been when you said to someone, "Hey, you can send information to anyone in the world instantly," you would not have gone, "That's going to be world changing, that's going to fundamentally change how we do everything." And blockchains and DLT is in a similar state, where you go, we can add a superpower to value. We can make anyone be able to hold value just by having a mobile phone, just by having a device. They don't need a bank account and they don't need a central authority. They can literally just have value instantly and send it to anyone instantly, and you can program that. You can add rules around how that moves. And again, that sounds really abstract, and people are like, I can do that already. I have a bank. I can go to my bank and I can move it. I have a credit card. I can pay for stuff online. How is any of this better than what I can already do? And so the understanding that people need to get to when they're thinking about blockchain, when they're thinking about DLT, is how is this going to subtly but fundamentally change the way that value moves and is held and is allocated? Because that is what the next revolution is going to look like. And so the way that we bank is going to change, the way we buy financial services is going to change, the way that we own our identity is going to change, the way that we own information and value about ourselves is going to change. But these are things that take a long time. Like the internet was invented a long time before the dot-com boom happened, and you're looking at a similar gestation period for this, where the technology is still very early. So if you don't know anything about blockchain, it's just starting to understand why this is going to have such a big impact is your first sort of step to understanding what the implications of this technology are.
And cryptocurrency is the new buzzword at the moment. How would you advise somebody who wants to look at investing in cryptocurrency? What would you advise them to do?
Yeah, so investing in cryptocurrency. This is always a difficult one. This is not investment advice. So I think that there are a lot of scams in the market. There are a lot of people who have taken investors' money without any intention to deliver, which makes it a very difficult market to navigate. I'd say that there isn't really that much difference between investing in cryptocurrencies as there is investing in normal businesses. You still look at the same fundamentals. You know, does the idea make sense? Does the application of the technology, regardless of the fact it's using that technology, does the actual idea, the end use of it, make sense as a business? What's the team look like? What kind of things have they delivered before? And have they got a track record of, you know, sticking with projects and delivering projects? And then looking at what they've already done. So like, are there any proofs or deliverables that you can look at that point to traction or ways that they've validated that there is a need for what they're pushing out into the market? And those are all the same fundamentals that you look at when you're looking at any business for investing, and I don't think it changes here. The exciting thing about this area right now is that the next Google and the next Facebook and the next Twitter and the next, you know, X billion-dollar company that was created in the internet era is on its way to being created right now. And so there's these amazing opportunities, but there's also, like, it's also a bit like the Wild West. It's very difficult to work out what's real and what's just hype, and so just take your time in the same way that you would investing in a normal company. Take exactly the same view of that and think about how you would invest in look at the fundamentals and take it from a rational perspective as much as you can.
Okay, and random question time.
Sure.
What's your favourite movie?
My favourite movie? My favourite movie is a difficult one. I sort of return to different ones depending on how I feel. I love The Green Mile. I love The Shawshank Redemption. Maybe I'm just a Stephen King, just too much of a Stephen King fan. But yeah, I'd say Green Mile or Shawshank Redemption.
Great, thank you.
Bull.io